deployed to protect the incoming president and all those who will be present at that ceremony. 8,000 National Guard troops were deployed during Trump's inauguration in 2017. So that number is significantly less as compared to the number this time around, 25,000. Security experts, in fact, saying that a few signs of an organized plot to disrupt the inauguration have also emerged. A former State Department terrorism analyst also said that some right-wing protesters may rally outside Washington's fenced-off central security zone that may also cause violence. So those are the threats that the law enforcement agencies have been grappling with at a time when the next administration is all set to take over. The Federal Bureau of Investigation and Pentagon have been screening troops as well to thwart any insider attack. Capri Cafaro, if I can come to you on this aspect of how security measures have unfortunately dominated the discussions and the focus all throughout the preparations for the inauguration ceremony and to this hour, the threats of violence and unrest that remain.
Right. Well, this inaugural was never going to be like anyone that we've ever seen, simply because of the COVID epidemic now, because of what happened on January 6th, and frankly, the abject failure in certain circumstances of Capitol Police, the inability to dispatch the National Guard, which is an aspect of the military, in a timely manner into the District of Columbia. You know, all these things that kind of converged when we saw that insurgents activity take place 2 weeks ago. You know, I think in light of that, you know, they've, I don't want to say overcorrected, but I think have really, you know, beefed up security appropriately with military presence, with local law enforcement in the District of Columbia, the Capitol Police, Park Police. There's a number of jurisdictions within the District of Columbia. And then they've closed bridges into the District of Columbia. They have restricted airspace over the Capitol and the District of Columbia, including to drones, so they could shoot down drones. And one issue that just came up yesterday is that they've been concerned, well, they've been concerned for a while, vetting the individuals from the National Guard that were coming in to ensure that there weren't any sleeper cells, so to speak, that people were involved in, you know, any kind of right-wing fringe activity that could be sympathetic to the kind of things that we saw 2 weeks ago on Capitol Hill, and would plan to essentially wreak havoc from the inside as a member of the protection forces in the National Guard. In this case, the National Guard, each state has their own National Guard, and so because there's so many, states have deployed into the District of Columbia. They actually found at least 12 individuals that they had to remove from duty as protecting the inaugural activities from the National Guard because there was activity detected in their vetting process that they could have potentially posed a threat. So, you know, I think that there's a lot of us, and certainly people within the District of Columbia and the surrounding areas, that are holding our breath. But it's not just about the immediate security of the area. It's about we're so skittish from what we saw that was so unprecedented a few weeks ago. I think we fear of, you know, what that might, if that would happen again on such an important and austere day for our nation, what kind of implications that could have. So fingers crossed, we are prepared, and I think we are.
Fingers crossed indeed. Cindy, if I can come to you on this specific aspect of how the law enforcement agencies who've been leaving nothing to chance are not just dealing with external threats of unrest across the United States, but also attempts from within, insider threats. Is this for the first time that an inauguration ceremony is facing such challenges at an unprecedented scale, as many have said?
Yes, absolutely. You are correct. And Pentagon officials confirmed that it was the first time that National Guard troops, who are reserve troops who are from across the country, normal, everyday Americans who then serve in the National Guard, it's the first time that they are being vetted for affiliations with right-wing groups, with white supremacist groups, with any sort of violent records. And as it was said, 12 of them were removed from their duty. So this is very worrisome. And there were also FBI records that showed that there was some chat on some right-wing social media groups talking about stealing National Guard uniforms and badges, and so we are definitely on high alert here. The whole city is basically shut down, and they've been changing the checkpoints and the closed bridges and all of that just to sort of keep people guessing, you know, those who might wish harm. So there is very, very tight security. Some had said, please, President-elect Biden, let's just have it completely virtual. But it is an important, very important symbol for American democracy. And Joe Biden did, with all the precautions, did want to have the ceremony outside on the west front of the Capitol, which we will all, your viewers, and we will all be watching.
Right, from dealing with the virus threat to dealing with the threat of unrest and violence, Washington, D.C. is witnessing an inauguration ceremony like none other in the past. So many reasons why this ceremony over the next few hours will be watched across the world, because who takes over as the next president, Joe Biden taking over, means a lot is also set to change geopolitically speaking and foreign policy wise. The expectations and the priorities that have been talked about in terms of Joe Biden also increasing scrutiny as far as China is concerned. If I can get in Capri on that, the foreign policy vision that we were talking about, Capri, earlier, that even Anthony Blinken has outlined, a question mark still remains over to what extent Joe Biden will actually be able to pressurize China, if at all, given the trade friction that exists.
A lot of opinions on whether or not Joe Biden is going to be as tough on China as President Trump has been with tariffs and other actions. But I do think, I think there's one thing that folks need to be, cognizant of, and that is that Democrats historically and traditionally have not been supportive of, just basically carte blanche for China, whether it's currency manipulation issues, whether it's steel dumping issues, in middle America and places like where I'm from in Ohio that have a substantial, industrial manufacturing base, big trade unions. Joe Biden is going to be pressured very much to try to get China in check, to ensure that we're not continuing to have a trade deficit, that they are not continuing to, basically manipulate their currency and put the United States in a differential or deferential position, economically and from a trade perspective that ultimately hurts, our jobs and our economy. So, I think it's going to be interesting to see. One thing that we are also, anticipating, and a little bit of this has been mentioned, is that there is going to be a stark shift from the quote-unquote America First type of foreign policy message and actions that the Trump administration engaged in. So not only is Joe Biden talking about re-engaging in the Paris Climate Accord, but joining the World Health Organization and a number of participating multilateral organizations and efforts that really, over the last 4 years, the United States has really withdrawn from, including, our kind of strained relationship with NATO and our traditional allies. And so I think Joe Biden is trying to return to some normalcy, or what we have come to be accustomed to in a post-World War II era of, allies and strategic partnerships.
Right. And Cindy, if I can get you in on the aspect that we've been talking about of Kamala Harris becoming the first woman vice president, and the renewed hope that really brings in. The expectation has been that the next vice president will of course, adhere to the norms that have been outlined. The Joe Biden presidency will stick to the norms, and that is going to be in itself a huge breather, a huge cause of a sigh of relief coming in from Americans.
Yes, that's right. And we are hearing that Kamala Harris, as the first woman of color, first woman with a background from India to be the vice president, the first woman to be vice president at all, is also going to have a much larger role, a very substantial role in governing, be it with the COVID crisis and with America's role and standing in the world. So I think that we will see her. We have seen that Joe Biden really offer her a partnership role, and we also have the second gentleman with her husband, who is has basically stopped his job and is supporting her 100%. So I think these are some very powerful and important signals for little girls here in the United States and across the world, that here is a woman of substance, a senator, a former attorney general from California, who is taking on this role and who is ready for it. And as I mentioned, she showed a lot of grace and compassion last night at this memorial service for those who died from COVID-19.
Right, Cindy and Caprica Faro, you've been getting us a better sense of what things are looking like for Americans and the expectations in the air. A lot of anticipation. Just a few hours to go before Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are sworn in. These are the latest images that we are getting to you from Capitol Hill, the venue, which is, of course, witnessing heightened security, unprecedented security measures that have been put in place. 25,000 National Guard troops that have been brought in from across the country for this historic ceremony. For more reasons than one, this inauguration will be unlike any other that's been seen in the past.
如果我们想活着，我们想让这个国家真正的解决病毒的问题，唯有灭共，唯有传播真相，一针不破。好，那么请这个导播把画面再看一下。我们现在直播间尽量给其他战友的机会，好吧？多些战友连到我们直播间。我们现在的这个我们现在
哪些战友在直播间准备好了？
可以
这个把画面切换一下，切到直播间。请导播把这个英语翻译组的那个画面，同声传译的画面也及时的传递到我们这边。
To be sworn in just a few hours from now. These are the latest images that we are getting to you from Capitol Hill.
好，请让我们的这个下一个战友准备一下我们马上接到直播间。
After the tumultuous 4 years that Americans have witnessed, the next president of the United States, Joe Biden, joined by the next vice president, Kamala Harris, all set for the inauguration. They will be sworn in just a short while from now. What a moment it is for Americans. For more reasons than one, this is a ceremony unlike any other that's been seen in the past. Given the security threat, the threat of unrest,
那我们回到总统就职典礼上的这个画面，大家看一下，我们把这个。
There is renewed hope. It is a new day for America, as Joe Biden has declared just a short while back.
对，给一下现场声音。
These images coming to you from Capitol Hill, the venue for the inauguration ceremony, which is set to begin just a short while from now. The next president of the United States and the next vice president,
不会说话了。
Kamala Harris.
我们导播只顾着在那导播啊，我们那个画面衬衫领带也不管我啊。还有呢，我们的那个 G News 这个战场，来顺便给大家介绍一下。我们今天呢是全球战友的一个连线，同时呢我们会有 G News 的这个平台，在做着第一时间有我们来自各农场优秀的主编们，他们形成一个这个编辑战队啊，编辑战队。那么我们连夜呢在 G News 的平台上开辟了几个新的见证美国历史啊，直击120的。
A quick chat before they walk up
视频及时传递到这个 G News 的站台，这个 平台。那么我们也会把这部分资讯传递给西方，还有我们强烈的这些战友。所以我们多线作战。那么将来的 GTV 和 G News 也是我们新中国联邦战友灭共反共、传播爆料革命真相的重要的阵地。当然，我们会有更多的这个盟友慢慢的跟我们合作。所以这是一块这个巨大的，给世界带来真相的，唯有唯真不破，唯有 G News GTV 了。现在。
Gravitas, presented by Amity University, ranked amongst the top 3% universities globally. Co-presented by Salesforce, we bring companies and customers together. Skoda, superb, best in next class. Co-powered by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist.
我可以看一下啊。
那个所谓的这个总统就职典礼的致辞。
我们连线战友准备好了吗？
连线战友。
Good evening and welcome to a very special edition of Gravitas. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. Joe Biden is set to take oath as the 46th President of the United States. Donald Trump has left the White House and gone to Florida. Biden attended a service at St. Matthew's Church in Washington, D.C. And then he has reached the U.S. Capitol. It's going to be a long day for him, one that he's waited for 30 years. That's when he made his first presidential bid. The presidency is beginning on a unique note. America has deployed 25,000 troops to ensure a smooth transition of power. The oath-taking is taking place with Washington under an emergency. America is divided, bitter, and ravaged by the Wuhan virus pandemic. The new president has decided to take 17 executive actions on day one. The old president refuses to stop the rhetoric. Americans cannot attend the ceremony. 200,000 flags have been placed instead of people. The security concerns are real in the U.S. right now. Biden has been in the White House before, but the one that he's returning to presents new challenges for him. On Beyond, we've been getting you non-stop live coverage of all that's happening in the United States of America with the biggest team of reporters on ground. And on Gravitas tonight, we'll continue tracking the events at Capitol Hill with ground reports and analysis. Let's begin with an update from Washington, D.C., what's happening there. Simon Marks has been tracking the latest for us. Hello, Simon. It's being called a historic day for America. So let me ask you the most frequently asked question in the history of television journalism. What's the mood on the ground?
Well, I think, Pelkey, that the mood on the ground here is one of great concern and anxiety about the security situation in Washington, D.C., even as the peaceful transfer of power gets underway for for what on television in many ways will appear like the ritual celebration of the trappings of America's constitutional democracy, even though, of course, President Trump is not there to witness them. And this is going to be, because not just of the security situation and the president's absence, but also because of COVID-19, a very, very different inaugural than those we have seen before. But we have started to see, as you will have observed, the images of familiarity with the Bidens and Kamala Harris and her husband Doug Emhoff arriving on Capitol Hill just within the last few minutes ahead of their swearing in and the president's inaugural address, which will be taking place in the course of the next 90 minutes or so. I mean, among Democrats, and you could see this on social media, there was this sense of absolute palpable relief once.
澳大利亚好，咱们正好是五眼联盟，对吧？对。所以呢，我们都能看到这个中共带来的这种负面影响。现在是这样啊，我在想问你啊，你看美国的这个大选，然后呢，还有欧洲的西方的国家的这些选举，那么以中共现在这种对美国的渗透，如果说我们没有暴力革命的话，我们可以想象，就是这个世界从此以后的这种选举宪政，是不是就没有一个安全的保障？你觉得中共的是怎么能够在美国做到今天这个样子，对美国影响到如此这个严重啊？包括结合加拿大这个中共的渗透，你想听听你对这方面的评价？
是的，像我们知道，这个在这个多年了，已经这个在加拿大中共的这个深耕。在哈珀政府已经是很多年前了，然后就有一个和中共的一个协议，是31年的啊，出卖这个阿尔伯塔省的这样的一个资源的一个协议，而且保证了这些中共的很多企业不受这个加拿大的这个法律的一个政府的起诉。那么其实是某种程度上是卖掉了加拿大未来的这个一代人的一个整个的这种国家利益。那么刚刚这个大卫先生问题特别好，为什么美国现在能够到这种程度？它是我们这个整个人类的以宗教、以法治、以权力的三权分立和宪法为这个最亮的一个人类的一个明灯，现在都到了这个样子。那么可想而知，其他的这些有更多的这个政治上的。
Leadership of the United States House of Representatives, Republican Whip the Honorable Stephen Scalise.
他是领导者。那么如果说这个看到这个美国它是现在这个样子，那么其他的国家的政客他们还是否有这个能力和有去出来和中共对抗？还这个美国的很多这些共和党也好、民主党也好的这些政客，他就是还是跟中共勾兑和。话，或这个保护自己的权利啊，这个如果我们在年也对香港这个危机的那么是可能现在有什么我一个时刻的一个情况。谢谢。
好，刚才有些话有一点干扰，感谢啊。咱们新中国什么这个南站，看刚才那个领导大阪站，新时代。我还有最后一个问题问你，就是你看，我们今年暴力革命进入到这个阶段，不管川普经历了什么，拜登怎么上今天这个仪式，我就想说。新中国联邦的这个战友，那么今年你觉得我们灭共这个角度最重要的事情，想听听战友的看法。我们怎么做呢？我们这些战友从我们的实际行动能够有一个这个突破点，或者是最重要的该解决的问题。想听听你看
啊，好，谢谢啊。这个大卫先生这个问题问的也是特别好。我觉得这个我们的战斗大选这件事情上，其实是很长一段时间之前就开始了，是11月3号之前，这个记者就说过我们有一个13天的决战，然后当时因为翻译不能做的这个英文节目，在这个 这些其实造成了巨大的一个影响，尤其是西方的世界，我说刚刚是美国每一天的这个流量都是上涨，就是70%的增长。那么这一个过程就是给我最大的感受就是我们现在接下来可能要这个作为我个人的话，可能要是第一是坚持我们传播我们的真相，无论是和美国大的一个真相。那么第二就是如何能够把中文世界和英文世界的这一个差别去缩小。那么我的感受就是很多英文世界的这个朋友们，美国的朋友们、加拿大的朋友们，他们这个民意是已经这个被调动起来，但是他们对很多的事实、很多的共产党的邪恶和这个西方的政治和被共产党深度的勾兑，他们是不够了解的。对于我们战友来说是常识的事情，对于他们来说是很新鲜的。那么在我看来，这是一个语言上的一个和文化和这个沟通渠道上的一个差异。那么我觉得下一步就是无论像您说的是这个谁是当总统还是什么，我觉得我们的灭共是最深刻好的一个阶段。像昨天彭妙先生把这个种族屠杀的这个事情给推出来，那么我们在这一个关键的时刻，我们怎么样让这个西方世界知道我们和共产党不一样，我们不是恐怖分子，我们支持的是新中国联邦和新中国联邦的这个我们想要传递的信息给传递到西方世界和这个把意引导
好。美国总统对，你要看美国有法律和这个，就最近几天你看彭妙先生的这个讲话，其实我们很明显看，我们没必要去搂着，这点上就是七哥的战略，七哥给到这个美国相关部门的那些建议。那么我们作为新中国联邦这个独立的这样的，我们并没有involve到美国的这个政治里，我们只有一个诉求：灭共。谁能跟我们站在一起，可以合作的唯一的这个基石就是我能够愿意接受灭共，跟我们并肩而战去灭共。所以我觉得不管怎样，2021年病毒对全世界的影响，这个定性，加上彭妙先生对中共的这个反人类罪这个定性，那么让什么呢？灭共的棺材板已经摆住，第一颗钉子已经定下来了，还有香港犯下的别的罪行，还有病毒对全世界的这个伤害。那么我们认为今年无论谁在美国的政府怎样，灭共的这个大旗，灭共的这个方向是不可逆转，这个是不可这个改变的，对吧？好，那么感谢来自这个墨尔本农场的罗伊战友啊，这位帅哥也感谢之前的赵宇，您可以休息，好吧？导播也看一下我们现场。
传译来自您发现的同声传译。
Ladies and gentlemen, former Vice President, the Honorable Dan Quayle. Ladies and gentlemen, the 42nd President of the United States, the Honorable William J. Clinton and the Honorable Hillary Rodham Clinton. Ladies and gentlemen, the 43rd President of the United States, the Honorable George W. Bush and Mrs. Laura Bush. Ladies and gentlemen, the 44th President of the United States, the Honorable Barack H. Obama and Mrs. Michelle Obama. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief Justice of the United States, the Honorable John G. Roberts, Jr., and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court. Ladies and gentlemen, the children of Vice President-elect Harris and Mr. Douglas Imhoff, Cole Mackin Imhoff, and Ella Rose Imhoff.
时间呢，可以导播拿一个画面切换到那个 PPT， 给大家再说一下美国大选的历史上还有一些我们看一下第6页，第6页就是个典礼的流程。那么今天对，好，赶紧注意来。今天现在彭总嘛，这个阵容名单还是长的，是不是这些人？这些人把美国带到了什么地方？中共在这些总统在任的时候，恰恰是身体最严重的。那么川普总统其实他代表美国政府，政府牺牲的力量，他们看到了美国民众、美国百姓、民众在身上，还有这种精英层，还有这种大政府更多的权利，然后呢，政府利用了资源。其实你某种意义上讲，他们也是在一种垄断。因为资源的优先配置权也是一种垄断，对吧？凭什么这个好的权利、好的社会资源、社会分配被政府来完全抓在手里？那么失去了监督，或者是没有这个合理的分配，在像中共这样的这个政党得以渗透的时候，那么我们会看到什么现象？大家还记得前2天的方，对吧？那么我通过对你的议员，通过对你的企业，美国的。比如说共产党的军民融合军企，对吧？我拿到了你的技术，我拿到了你的重要的人，然后我就可以怎么样？我就可以控制你重要的行业，控制你的资源，控制你的这个政治资本，然后产生对你的这种制钱作用。这不就发生在美国此时此刻？所以我觉得这是一个让我们和西方都在思考。所以3年暴虐革命带来的就是真相的过程，也是中共用什么样的方法得以成功。
Ladies and gentlemen, the children of President-elect Biden, Robert Hunter Biden II, Ashley Vin Glazer Biden, also the grandchildren of the President-elect.
但是站2021年的就职典礼是历史上的任何一次政府，大家也都看到，作为我们这些战友，我们知道它为什么，是不是？你看，比如说这个今年的加强军事管制的这个，是不是25000名国民警卫队已经在华盛顿特区驻守，同时这个安保，这在历史上是前所未有的。那么再往下一页可以看一下，那么追溯到历史呢，当年的这个约翰亚当斯，在历史上这个是一个我们会看到当年发生的事情，就是1801年3月4日他就职的时候，凌晨4点不久就离开了华盛顿。那个时候的就职日是在3月份，刚才我介绍这个事情，那也是他人生中的一个困难时期。所以呢，你看历史上每次美国总统的这个发生的这个大的事情，都伴随着背后的历史背景和重大政治事件。就是举几个例子，亚当斯大家可以看画面。可以往下，然后是什么呀？1829年，就是约翰跟西亚当斯，他们这是发生什么？就是1824年那个4选1的总统选举，这个杰克逊赢得了5选票，但是没有一个候选人获得半数选举人票，所以这让美国的众议院决定了另一种杰克逊和他的支持者，就后来所谓的这个外交领袖1824年这个候选人就是亨利·莱克，后来这个人成为国务卿。所以你看，美国历史上这些巨大的冲突、巨大的分歧的时候，伴随着这些重要的事件。我们看一下，导播慢一点，把这个 PPT 给大家过一下。好，切过来了。好，我们切换到导播。
Ladies and gentlemen, accompanying the Vice President, the Secretary of the Senate, the Honorable Julie E. Adams, and Chief Administrative Officer of the House of Representatives, Catherine Spindor.
好，七哥。
喂。
好。
喂，大卫兄弟。
哎，我在。
能收到吧？
能，可以听见，七哥。
我上调一下这样子啊。好，太好，太好，辛苦了，辛苦了啊！兄弟姐妹们辛苦了。这世界很热闹啊，现在很热闹，这兄弟啊，非常非常热闹。
文贵先生，战友们都期待着您来，大家说的都感觉说不到点子上，是吧？
是吧？我因为我还没有说，我大概刚才搂着急眼，我等半天，这木兰妹妹给我发链接，老联系不上啊。咱们这个，现在可以了，声音怎么样？你听着，兄弟？
非常清楚，七哥。
好，辛苦了，兄弟，做的非常非常棒啊！这个现在看来华盛顿现在非常的热闹。首先向各位这个在后台工作的兄弟姐妹们问好啊！这个特殊的日子，真是个特殊的日子。这个现在看到这个大家这个一年来吧，我们都心系美国大选。啊，可能这个世界上，除了美国这个当选的这个总统的这家人之外，就是我们了啊，就是我们可能贴得最近，啊，这个心里边跟他们是一直是挂在一起啊，行动在一起，非常之近。这个朋友说的，我说可能是没有比新中国联邦人在心系美国大选的了啊，咱们这个。很多美国朋友说，那你们今天这个直播是什么意思呢？是支持拜登呢？是支持川普呢？还是你们要表达什么呢？很多人都在问这个话题，啊，而且很多美国人关心着我们新中国的联邦的这个会有什么样的动作，会有什么样的态度啊？所以说，你看去年。如果说我们新中国联邦想让别人在乎我们，那几乎是不可能的。你是谁呀？是不是？你还没出现呢。那么说你爆料革命是个行动啊，也没有什么。那么现在大家一提呢，就会把我们的命运和我们的行动，跟这个美国世界上这么大的一个总统选举放在一起，啊，这就是短短的从6月4号啊到现在，我们战友和爆料革命新中国联邦。形成的实力啊，这叫硬实力啊，这不是软实力，这是硬实力。还有一个就是有我们千万个战友，像我们严立梦科学家，我们路德访谈，我们博士军团啊，叶昭颖女士、郝狠先生，以及今天坐我对面大卫兄弟所有农场的这些兄弟姐妹们啊，大家的共同的行动和努力的结果啊，我们形成了自己这个硬实力。那么在今天，事关人类啊生死啊，彭斯出来了，事关人类生死就是屏幕上出现了这些镜头，可能是我们所有的战友绝都是不会相信这一幕会发生啊，这一幕会发生，而且呢，世界上我相信很多人也不相信会发生，那么包括啊8000万美国人他也不相信会发生。但是它就是发生了，发生的时候我们在怎么看待这个问题？啊，我一直在看这些问题的时候，我在想，你说这个人类大选，刚才大卫兄弟你在讲的时候，人类上有很多这样那样的大选和美国的就职仪式，但从来没有一个戴口罩的，啊，这就像这个当时我在这个将近1年的时候说允许戴口罩的时候，国内的这些这个老革命说这像戴龙头一样，这个畜生界这给驴啊，是吧？中国人给驴啊，怕吃草啊，要把这个给它戴上龙套啊。还有在我小的时候，记得东北的牛有的也戴龙套啊，怕牛在干活吃草啊，戴上龙套。是吧？你看到这些人的龙套露印上自己的 logo。啊，这个龙套也分配的衣服艺术化、时尚化、个性化、国家化、权力化啊，什么化都有，但是它改变不了它是个龙头。这个龙头是哪来的呀？今天当我们看这个屏幕的时候， 你真的很难想象啊，所有今天决定在今天在这里的人当中，所有在全人类都戴着龙套，还有的不愿意戴着，你得死。你想过这问题吗，戴维兄弟？你不戴你就可能要死啊，那你要戴龙套，戴龙套，那你要戴出你的所谓级别。老百姓戴点便宜的、不管用的，甚至光挡的假的，啊，有的甚至买不起的，啊，人家这已经时尚化了啊。然后戴不戴龙套的问题已经政治化了，啊，戴不戴龙套决定着生死的问题，这是谁干的？共产党！哇塞，这是共产党牛着来，你看看。说你想想啊，这跟谁有关系？所有今天这里的人的言行举止，啊，全都和共产党的对中国帮助都和中国、中共、中国人民有关系啊！不但这个啊，兄弟姐妹们，你们还能看到一个更加让大家啊，更加让大家这个很多人都忽视的一个问题，决定这些人的命运，决定这些人的生命和生活质量，也是中国啊。就是说，今天我们看世界的这种最大的一个政治仪式的时候，中国人从来没有像今天一样，不管是好是坏，跟世界人类的命运如此紧密相连，从来没有像今天一样，还有一波在外面的中国人，还在内部不敢发声的中国人，叫新中国联邦爆料革命，与世界的命运紧密相连。然后真正这个镜头给你看的效果很好，你但凡你到过美国国会现场，但凡你知道这个美国国会仪式，你会觉得这里不是凄凉，说实在，这是人类的可悲啊！这么多人戴上龙套的时候，没有任何人敢问龙套是哪来的，也没有任何人敢面对这个龙套的真相。甚至要和装上龙套的人，啊，要进行勾兑、合作，是什么样的力量让这些人戴上龙套以后还不敢，也不敢面对、不敢问真相？大卫兄弟，这是什么样的概念？人类到了什么样的灾难时刻？它关系着你我，关系着你的孩子，关系着你现在没出镜头的你太太、你孩子，关系到全人类的命运。世界上最有权力的地方，你承不承认美国都是世界上的真正的领导世界的国家，世界警察。那么世界警察都这样了，那你说人类会啥样？今天毫不夸张的说，是人类上我相信万年来的地球最黑暗的一个。咱先别说这个总统权力，也别说这个总统的职位，大卫兄弟，就说今天你看到这些人带着这个人造的龙套，而且随时可以面临生死的无人。
Ladies and gentlemen, accompanying the Vice President-elect, the Chief of Inaugural Ceremonies, Maria Miller-Lobo,
这过去两
the Acting
真是
Deputy
不
House
说
Sergeant at Arms Kevin Grubbs, and the
让
Acting
在
Deputy
在
Senate
今
Sergeant
天
at Arms, United States Capitol Police Officer Private First Class Eugene O. Goodman.
而且很多都是咱们的好朋友，啊，所以人类呀，这个人性啊，它绝不像圣经，啊，也不像佛祖，也不像伊斯兰教告诉大家的，它人性是勇敢，也不是像人们所说的想象的，人性，啊，是这么样的，就是善良的，啊，人之初性本善，还真不是。我这些天感受太深了。但是呢，说实在话，战友们呢，我有很多话想跟大家说。在今天这个日子里边，我特别的啊，我想有一段话给大家讲一讲。你等等，我得把这段，我在这个效果不好，我让他把这个我看被录下来啊。
好，我们等一下。
喂，能不能被录下来一点？ 能后面那个我这有把被录下来，你说摄像机给我录下来，摄像机不要录屏，要录那个对。我现在等他等人录下来啊，我理发了。这个有战友上来我这直播的时候，战友说七哥头发长了，结果以为瞎说。理短点啊，吧唧，不要1理6号，理完了啊，够短的，但是我觉得挺好看。下回等我这个咱们差不多了，七哥。不是，我觉得你这个好啊，我觉得应该像你这个长短啊，但是我白头发多了，我现在从小盼望白头发，现在终于来了。这个今天你看。这个现场的时候啊，很多人给我发来现场的情况，很多美国朋友他们就觉得简直是荒唐，不可思议。他们所有人都说完了，美国完了，为什么美国完了？就好多人在现场的啊，在现场的人你想想，啊，这都是跟拜登团队非常好的，能到现场的。刚才一个咱们哥们儿将军的管理者，我看他已经到现场了，他跟他太太还是女儿。给我发信息、发视频啊，还有一位咱们几个姐妹儿啊，你这个朋友说，彭斯在现场几乎没人跟他打招呼啊。你看彭斯没人跟他打，他会非常啊，会非常惨。这个都不愿意说实话，没人敢说实话。就你去想想，这些所谓的美国好莱坞天天拍大片，拯救地球、拯救人类。美国天天拍大片啊，然后呢都是正义超人啊，美国队长，然后呢如何，但是你看看今天现场是什么情况啊？就是人类的堕落，大卫兄弟啊，这真的是当时啊这个撒旦说的话，人类的邪恶啊和我相比远超出你的想象，真是。这我们今天感到了，就是撒旦说这，你们老觉得我坏，人类的坏啊，远超你的想象，比我撒旦还坏。你看现场有些坏人，过去这个一天啊，美国政坛和军界发生事情，很多人你们都是不知道的啊。我可以告诉大家啊，是背叛中的背叛，背叛中的背叛，一直在背叛。所以说你看到现场的时候，千万就要记住，人类上最可恨的就是背叛。但是我们现在看到的是，一切都是背叛中的背叛。这种背叛就改变了全地球、全人类的命运。当我们爆料革命面对今天的时候，请大家想想，你最接受不了的实际上是背叛、欺骗。背叛就夹带了欺骗。背叛不一定是就是欺骗，欺骗里边一定有背叛，或者说欺骗是主角，背叛是主角，它是个主副关系。但是今天我们看到是事关人类命运的时候，背叛和欺骗啊相互交叉。背叛和欺骗常用的手段都是宗教、神、爱、奉献、信仰啊，都是这所以，当我们爆料革命新中国联邦走到今天的时候，很多战友真的不明白，爆料革命这几年有多难。你看到那几个小人渣是吧？小烂人的背叛，他本来就狗屁就不是啊，他背叛不就骗点钱吗？骗点名吗？骂一骂嘛，战友们。所以咱们爆料革命来讲，基本上就连他是放个屁他都不如啊，没有人记得他们啊。咱们爆料革命背后所承受的一个个背叛，那是你们没有看到啊，那都是大钱，那都是大伤害，那都是大家无法承受的啊。大卫兄弟，说到这儿的时候，我相信你能明白，当一个革命，当一场运动，你要面临真的追求今天我们说灭共这种伟大的运动的时候，兄弟，它可真不是那么简单，它真不是说你脑子一热我就要去搞爆料革命灭共去了。灭共这件事情，这真是一点都不夸张 几乎是全人类有史以来前所未有的一个正义运动，最勇敢。你看看今天在这个舞台上的人，是影响了人类、控制了人类多少年的人。今天这些人啊，都是这样戴上龙套、带着家人、牵着手，在摄像机面前还在表演，没有勇气，他们根本不敢面对共产主义的邪恶和魔鬼。今天中南坑的老杂毛们，啊，这些人在现场在干什么？这些老杂毛们看到这些人，我都能想象到这些老杂毛们，啊，那种傲慢，抠着脚丫子喝着，可能是今天要打开这个80年和100年的茅台了啊，这要打开了，叫纯茅台了，跟喝上了3位兄弟，那已经没价值了。同时在盘算着自己的私生子女和家人，还有海外的资产怎么弄回来。还有一个如何来虐美国人，报复美国人。你看啊，他出来的时候，还有美国军事第一的几句话，我没有看视频，不是很歌赋，他就是个骂街的，他就是养了条狗，但是他绝对代表着主人的态度。啊，就那种得意，那已经把美国拿下，那种完全不顾啊，把美国侮辱的简直是猪狗不如啊！就像那个咱们大陆的每天城管打的那个菜贩子啊，城管打卖糖葫芦的，和国内的警察、派出所长啊，所谓抓小偷、抓嫖娼，抓住小姐以后，把小姐按在地上啊，脱光了屁股，然后要检查胸有没有东西啊，检查阴道下面有没有这个加这个什么自杀呀。啊，这派出所经常的是所谓的检查，担心啊有人自杀，所以说这个小姐抓住以后脱光连这个下体都得打开啊，都是拿手抠一抠啊，是不是？张开嘴啊，摸摸胸啊，都检查，就是那种侮辱人的那种，他得意，他认为我是所长啊，我是公安，我是警察呀，就像城管打那些卖菜的老人家，他觉得。绝对是啊，我有理，我有权，我心安理得。就昨天华春莹那个，就感觉就是美国人就被那个大陆给抓急了啊。中国，大陆的，你能想象今天的北京城是啥？主这个地还对，听说，这个是百类的和种族大，这事儿大，天大的事儿。报告就像一个被抓鸡的时候，结果这鸡突然指证出来说：“哎，你就是把我，你就是，哇塞，那不就啊？这情况你就能想到，真的是。”这个不清楚吧？画面。
Please welcome the Honorable Amy Klobuchar.
Vice President Pence, Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, members of Congress and the judicial branch, former presidents and first ladies, vice presidents, leaders from abroad, and a whole bunch of Bidens. America, welcome to the 59th presidential inauguration, where in just a few moments, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will take their solemn oaths. This ceremony is the culmination of 244 years of a democracy. It is the moment when leaders brought to this stage by the will of the people promise to be faithful to our Constitution, to cherish it and defend it. It is the moment when they become, as we all should be, guardians of our country. Have we become too jaded, too accustomed to the ritual of the passing of the torch of democracy to truly appreciate what a blessing and a privilege it is to witness this moment? I think not. 2 weeks ago, when an angry, violent mob staged an insurrection and desecrated this temple of our democracy, It awakened us to our responsibilities as Americans. This is the day when our democracy picks itself up, brushes off the dust, and does what America always does. Goes forward as a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This conveyance of a sacred trust between our leaders and our people takes place in front of this shining Capitol dome for a reason. When Abraham Lincoln gave his first inaugural address in front of this Capitol, the dome was only partially constructed, braced by ropes of steel. He promised he would finish it. He was criticized for spending funds on it during the Civil War. To those critics, he replied, "If the people see the Capitol going on, it is a sign we intend the Union shall go on." And it did, and it will. Generations of Americans gave their lives to preserve our republic in this place. Great legislation to protect civil rights and economic security and lead the world was debated and crafted under this dome. Now it falls on all of us, not just the two leaders we are inaugurating today, to take up the torch of our democracy, not as a weapon of political arson, but as an instrument for good. We pledge today never to take our democracy for granted as we celebrate its remarkable strength. We celebrate its resilience, its grit. We celebrate the ordinary people doing extraordinary things for our nation, the doctors and nurses on the front line of this pandemic, the officers in the Capitol, a new generation never giving up hope for justice. We celebrate a new president, Joe Biden, who vows to restore the soul of America and cross the river of our divides to a higher plane. And we celebrate our first African American, first Asian American, and first woman vice president, Kamala Harris, who stands on the shoulders of so many on this platform who have forged the way to this day. When she takes the oath of office, little girls and boys across the world will know that anything and everything is possible. And in the end, that is America, our democracy, a country of so much good. And today, on these Capitol steps and before this glorious field of flags, we rededicate ourselves to its cause. Thank you. It is now my honor to introduce to you the senator who has worked with me and so many others to make this ceremony possible, my friend and the chair of the inaugural committee, Missouri Senator Roy Blunt.
Well, I should have known when Senator Klobuchar got involved, at least there'd be a touch of snow up here this morning. Of all the things we'd considered, I don't think snow was on my agenda until I walked out the door a moment ago. But thank you, Senator Klobuchar, and thanks to the other members of the Joint Congressional Committee on the inauguration as we officially begin the 59th inaugural ceremony. I also want to thank the Joint Committee staff and our partners, particularly our security partners, for the way they've dealt with unprecedented circumstances. When I chaired the inauguration 4 years ago, I shared President Reagan's 1981 description of this event as commonplace